right, welcome back to Coffee Cafe. So, this is where we last left off. We are still currently on our very first page of journals here. We left off with making that payment for the rent for the location. Okay. And this is where we last left off. We already went over hiring Kim Robinson, where we already discussed that we just hired Kim Robinson. No physical or actual transaction was made, only an agreement was made, okay? Where we hired somebody, but we haven't got billed. There was no actual monetary transaction involved in this hire because we don't know what the price is. So that's also one of the things to look forward when we're determining the transaction, right? We know this transaction will eventually affect my business, but we just don't know how much. So in this case, we just have to keep in mind that we hired Kim Robinson to do some interior designing consultation, okay? So we should be expecting a bill from her. So here's where we go and we went to Computers R Us store here. And we end up picking up a computer system. So here it is June 5th, right? We purchased a computer system, which consists of a computer, a printer. We got some tax, and then we end up writing a second check to Computers R Us for the grand total of $2,213.71. Okay? So in this case, let's do the 7 steps of transaction analysis and determine which accounts that we're going to be needing to use. So in this case, what did we purchase from Computers R Us?
We got the computer system and the printer.
Right. So in this case, in my chart of accounts, do I have a computer and a printer?
Yes, you got a computer and you have a printer.
Yes, you do. Right here, computer for 14,010 and a printer for 14,020. So in this case, this is moving into our fixed assets, right? We acquired office equipment. In this case, specifically, I bought a computer and I bought a printer, okay? And how did I pay for it? How did I?
Check.
Yes,
With a check.
correct. So where's that going to come out from? Which account?
That one is going to come out of checking.
That will come out of your checking 100%. So in this case, we got a computer, okay? We got a printer, and we already know this one, checking, okay? Which is account 10100. The accounts for the other two was 1410 and 14020. Okay? Now, question to you. What do I do with the tax?
You put that under sales tax, right?
Now,
no, you just include it in the price.
You include it into the price because what are we purchasing?
Because we are purchasing. That's the reason.
Yes, we are. What are we purchasing specifically?
A computer system or something for our office?
Correct. In more detailed terms, I'm looking for is we're purchasing a fixed asset.
Yes.
Now, what is
an asset is what I was going to say.
Correct. Now, what is included in the cost of a fixed asset?
Everything that gets it in your place.
Correct. So in this case, since we went to the store, what stops us from leaving the store?
What do you mean what stops us from leaving the store?
What are we obligated to have to pay into before we can be able to leave the store?
Oh, absolutely taxes. Government takes its share.
Correct, because we bought these items in store. You are mandated to take that sales tax now. So that means we need to split the sales tax. How should we split this sales tax?
By the price of the printer and by the price of the computer.
So what do you mean by that?
That means you take the 8.25, and if you enter the price of the computer system, which is 1,695, you're going to have $139.84 tax with a total of 1,834.80. 8.84. That's from the app on my phone, tax app.
Awesome. Okay, so 8.25%. The printer was $350. So times this by
183.
now here, what is the situation here? So I get $139.83 worth of $84 worth of tax, right? So I'm looking at this plus 139.84, right?
Uh-huh.
And then what is the tax on my
Your printer? The printer is 28.88, but your total is 378.88.
So in this case, if I were to add these values up together, I'm
That
at
should equal your total. You're
what
off by a penny.
you are
Did
off.
you do equal round?
I did not, but even if I were to round it, what's wrong here?
It says 221372. What do you mean
Correct.
what's wrong?
Well, how much did I pay?
You paid 221371.
So in this case, I'm off by a penny, like you just said.
Yeah.
Now in
Yeah,
this
because you had to
case,
do the equal round.
well, even okay, so let's do the equal round, okay? So equal round, comma 2. And let's do the same thing for this one. Okay? And let's add those values up together because you're going to get the same exact values.
Oh, I thought you would do equal round for those.
We are.
No?
In this case, I'm just.
You don't have to.
Yeah, I'm doing it for the tax for sure. But in this case, I'm still having that 1 penny difference. Why?
It's because it's the subtotal that you have to do it from, the 2045.
Correct. In this case, it's because I'm buying them together. I'm not buying them separately. That means the sales tax, it will definitely be based off of the subtotal, not the individual prices itself. So that's why I didn't equal round these, because I wanted you to take a look at those numbers again.
Okay.
Because now we need to figure out, where am I going to be distributing my penny? Because in this case, I have to take a look at my calculations. Which one's going to allow me that, which ones I should increase versus which ones I shouldn't increase. So in this case, I'm looking at
the lower number, I would believe.
Okay, so in this case, let's take a look. Yeah, we would look at the lower number. So I am looking at 8375, and then I'm looking at 875.
So everyone is a 0.5.
Well, this one's 0.75 versus 0.5.
So add the penny to the top one.
Add the penny to the top one. So in this case, you're going to go with 1834.84, and this one's going to be 378.87, and that will give you 378.87, and that will give you your 71. So in this case, you have to look at your calculations. Now, here's also a rule of thumb. Most likely, you are more likely to increase the higher amount because you're likely to pay higher taxes, right? So if you can't figure the number out that way, your most go-to place is, well, if I'm spending $1,695 compared to a $350 printer, I'm going to pay more taxes to my computer system than I am to my printer, right? Because of the amount that it's totaling up to. You are more likely to increase the $1,695 versus the $350 because you're prorating the tax, right? So that's also a rule of thumb there too, is you can automatically assume I'm going to put the extra penny into the computer system and decrease my my lower amount for my printer by the penny. And that way you can figure out your where to split your pennies here. But in this case, that is correct. We're prorating our amounts here. We're splitting the tax based on, because in this case, right, we're combining the purchases, not buying them separately. If you were to buy the computer and the printer separately, you will end up paying that extra penny of tax anyways in two separate receipts. But in this case, because we're looking at the combined total, the tax rate is going to be something that you have to split. And when you split it, you may have to toggle with them, because some of them you have to have a split penny or whatever it is the situation is. So in this case, we had 0.75 of a penny versus half of a penny, right? So in this case, we figured it out. So it's going to be $1834.84, and this one's going to be $378.87 to give you your grand total of the $2,213.71. Good. We matched our proof of transaction to the penny. So in this case, that's exactly what we have to do. Now that I finished the majority chunk of the transaction, what do I need to do first? I need to ensure what must happen before I start completing my description. How did I pay for this? You have to put in your check. So in this case, we go to our check register. Today is the 5th. We're using check number 1502, which is written on my receipt right here, proof that I used check number 1502, okay, for the $2,213.71. Who did I cut this check out to? Computers R Us. Okay, and why? I'm just going to say purchase computer. Purchase computer system. Okay. All right. So now that I have proof that my transaction was that I cut a check number 1502, I have enough information to go ahead and complete my description. Okay. So who did I purchase this computer from? Computers R Us. Okay, so we're going to be involving with a vendor. Okay. What's my proof of transaction? What proved that I purchased a computer system? The check, but what else?
I apologize. I muted you because I was blowing my nose. Your sales receipt.
Your sales receipt is 100% proof that a transaction has occurred. Okay, so in this case, I need to identify the sales receipt number. Sales receipt number 84143. And of course, I need to also identify that I used check number 1502. Now, is it necessary for me to disclose that I purchased a computer and a printer?
For your assets, yeah?
Not in the, I'm talking about my description for my journal.
No.
No, because it's clear already that we bought a computer and we bought a printer, right? We're updating those accounts, so you don't need to put in that you bought a computer and you bought a printer, right? This is already self-explanatory. So in this case, that's all the proof that you need to put in there is the vendor that you purchased items from, the sales receipt, and at most the check, proof that you made a payment. So in this case, my description is now complete. So now that I finished my description, I already cut my check. Next thing I gotta do is update my journal, my general ledger. Okay? Because now I spent some money, but at the same time, I received fixed assets for them. So in this case, exactly the order that I have it journalized, right? So I'm going to go ahead and update my computer account first and then go for my printer next, okay? So in this case, going to assets, right? Even though I see checking right there, I'm just going to go ahead and ignore that because I want to make sure I don't forget about the other two or skip around, right? So for now, just practice it this way, but if you're more comfortable jumping around because you can make sure that you are okay, that's just the first rule, because oftentimes this isn't the type of journal that you will see all the time, especially when we dive into our sales. That's going to be a tricky one. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to go ahead and I've kind of passed it over here already. So here you go. My computer is right here. And I'm going to go ahead and identify today's the 5th. Now, the item here could be anything that you want to put in here. So whatever notes that you want to put in here. So in this case, you don't need to say I purchased a computer, right? But I can say that it was for $16.95 plus 8.5%, 8.25% tax, which yields me $139.84. Okay? Which got me to my grand total, right, of that $1834.84. Okay? And it's a debit balance because I'm increasing an asset, right? My post reference is still going to be general journal page number 1 because that's where my transaction is currently located. Okay? So then I'm also going to update my printer, which is fairly nearby. Today is the 5th. I purchased the printer for $350 plus 8.25% tax, which was a total of $37.87, is the reason why I now have a total printer for $378. Or sorry, yeah, $378.87. Oh, okay, hold on. I made a typo here. I think it's 38.
No, it's 378.87.
Oh no, my tax should be
28.
28. Yeah, I made a typo there.
Okay.
28.87. Okay, is where you're gonna get $387.87, and because my account balance, I'm starting at 0. So if I debited my balance for $378.87, so therefore you're going to have a debit balance, right? You're increasing your printer by this much amount. Okay? All right? Last thing is going to be updating my checking account. So all the way at the top of your assets here. Right now, it says that we currently have $16,125. So let's go ahead and add in that transaction. Now, in this case, like I've mentioned, I can just simply put my check number because that right there is a reference point. I can pull up my checkbook and be able to determine who I wrote that check for, how much I wrote that check for, and why I wrote that check out, right? By going to my check register. So I don't need to put any other information except for that check number, and that's sufficient enough information, okay? I'm still on my general journal page 1, but this time I credited my account in my journal, so therefore I spent money because I wrote a check, right? I'm going to decrease my checking by $2,213.71. Okay? Make sure you're transferring from your journal to your ledger completely correctly. So, because I already put the formula in there, right? It now has updated my account balance to $13,911.29. Okay? All right. So that's how much I have after writing a check for $2,213.71. Okay? So, now that I finished posting from my journal to my ledger, who else or what else do I also need to update? I need to update my subsidiary ledger because I involved myself with a vendor. Even though I paid them off 100%, what if I decide to return my printer or my computer? What if I plugged it in and it doesn't work? What if I got a defective printer? That is one of the things that we need to make sure that we put in our ledger so we have proof that the transaction has occurred and that we have the ability to return the item as well. Okay? So in this case, I'm going to locate where my vendor is. It should be in alphabetical order. So computers are us. Today is the 5th. Okay? What did you buy? So this is where I can actually say that I purchased computer for the 1834.84 plus the printer in case I do return them, and the printer for $378.87. Okay? And another way I could do this too is put the proof that I made a payment, which is check 1502. Now the invoice number will be your sales receipt number. Okay, so that's why it's very important that you keep track of your receipts for the reason in case you do need to make an exchange or you need to, return some things. So in this case, 84143 is my proof that a transaction had occurred. Now the next one is post reference, which is going to be general journal page 1. Now in this case, I was never invoiced, right? I went to the store and paid at time of sale, right? Or at time of purchase, right? So in this case, terms are not given to me. So therefore, there is no discount opportunity or an actual due date because I paid at time of purchase. But I do know what the invoice amount was, right? How much did my receipt totaled out to? It amounted to $2,213.71. And last but not least, what else do we know? We for surely know we made a payment for sure, right? For that $2,213.71. And we know that because I have proof that I paid with check number 1502. Okay? So, once again, let's practice the formula again. Okay? To determine how much you owe this vendor, it's going to be whatever the invoice amount was, right? A prepaid amount will decrease it. So you're going to subtract prepaid. You're going to subtract any returns and allowances. You're going to subtract any discounts. And you're going to subtract any payments. So since I already figured out that I already made a payment for the amount that I owe, right? That means I owe Computers R Us nothing because I paid for whatever the sales receipt amount was for, okay, at time of purchase. So in this case, I don't owe them anything, okay? But once again, we must hold on to this receipt and this information in case, let's say we do have a messed up printer, then we can go back to the store, get our returns and allowances, and get that money refunded back to me, okay? So in this case, yes. So that is exactly why we do keep a hold of this information for the reason being of in case if things happen along the way, right? We have proof of the transaction and we can choose to return it or not, okay? So there you go. And that should conclude that transaction there, okay? All right. So let's see what is next. Okay. All right. So we are still on Wednesday, June 5th. And here it says we're going to be making a payment for liability insurance for a 12-month insurance starting on June 5th of 2020 for the total amount of $2,350. Issued check payable to Sargent Insurance Company, policy number 884513. Okay? So in this case, I'm making a payment for liability insurance for a 12-month policy starting on June for a total of $2,350. And I paid with a check. Okay? So, let's go ahead and take a look at our chart of accounts. What accounts will I be needing to use?
You have your liability for insurance.
Okay,
Your
so
liabilities.
do not confuse insurance liability as a liability. So
Oh,
basically,
it's not?
in this
That would be
case,
expenses for operating expenses.
that is 100% an operating expense. Now, which kind of expense?
It would be under expenses, it has insurance expense.
We have insurance expense. Now, expenses are only to determine the current month or in this current accounting period. So that means I can only record for the month of June with this insurance expense. So then what do I do with the other 11 months?
It's the prepaid one, right?
It would be a prepaid, right? Because you paid money in advance for insurance coverage for the next 11 months. So this is going to be a prepaid account, correct? So in this case, insurance expenses 60/40, okay? We have prepaid accounts. Okay, let's see. Prepaid accounts 18,600. Okay, and how did we pay for the insurance? We paid with our check, so therefore checking 10,100. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. Here is it is the 5th, right? We got insurance expense. Okay, because it's an expense, we're going to debit the account, right? Because we incurred an expense for 6,400. Okay. Now, in this case, we also acquired a other asset, right? An intangible asset, because can you actually touch insurance?
No.
No. So in this case, but we do have ownership over the next 11 months, right? So that's how we interpret that is we have a prepaid account, which is an intangible prepaid accounts, which is an intangible asset, 18,600. And since we wrote a check, that's going to decrease my checking account, right? Which we would normally credit our account because we're decreasing an asset. So in this case, right, we know for a fact that we paid a total of $2,350, right? So how do I determine how much that's going to be for one whole month?
Divided by 12.
Divided by 12. So in this case, I'm going to do equal round here. Okay, so 2,350 divided by 12. How much is going to be my insurance for the month?
Oh, I don't have my calculator out. Let me pull it up.
195.83. Good. Okay. And how do I figure out what the rest of my payment's going to be?
You subtract it, and that'll leave you with 2,154.17.
Correct, right? We're just going to subtract it out to give you 21,54.17. Good. And of course, you can double confirm if your total debits and your total credits match by simply adding the two values up together to get your total of $2,350 even. Okay. Good. Excellent. Okay. All right. So before we finish the rest of the description, what needs to happen first?
Check.
You got to cut the check. So we go down to my check register. Okay. We issue check number 1503. Okay. For the total of $2,350. To whom did we write this check out to?
Argent Insurance Company.
Yes, Sargent, okay. I was right, Sargent Insurance Company. Okay. What was it for? 12-month insurance. Okay. Okay. So in this case, we got here check number 1503. All right, as proof of that, we made a payment to Sargent Insurance. So we have all the information that we need to finish our description here, right? Because here, who did we involve with? What vendor did we involve with? We involved with Sargent Insurance Company. What was the proof of my transaction?
Your policy number.
Your policy number, correct. Policy number 884513. And of course, proof that I made a payment.
Your check.
Your check number 1503. Good. Okay. Okay.
Can you do me a favor? Go to your check registry one more time, please. Just click on that bottom there. You just where your general journal, just your check registry.
Oh, my check register.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted to see that for 1 second. Okay, gotcha.
All right. Now that I finished my journal, next step is to post it to your ledger immediately so we can get the correct account balances and so on and so forth, because I just spent more money, okay? So once again, I'm going to go exactly in the order. So I just incurred insurance expense. Okay? So here I am in expenses. It should be in alphabetical order. So let's see. Insurance. Okay, insurance expense. Okay. It is the 5th. Okay. And we paid for the month of June, so you could do liability insurance, whatever you want to put. Liability. Liability insurance, month of June. Since we said we're paid for the expenses are for the current accounting period, so in this case, we paid for the month of June. Okay. We are currently still on our first general journal page here, which we said was $195.83. So therefore, $195.83 is going to be in your insurance expense account. Okay. So that was my expense account. So the next one I have here is a prepaid account. Okay, here you go. So now I am adding another transaction into a pre-existing account balance. So in this case, I've already used my prepaid accounts account before. Now I'm going to be adding a second entry in here. So therefore, I'm going to be needing to use that formula to get me my account balance. Okay? So in this case, the reason why I'm making the second entry is that I made an advanced payment. Okay? Advanced payment for 11 months. Okay? Insurance policy. Okay? Which was a total of $195.83 per month, right? We already established what the amount is per month, right? So that means the next time I need to accrue for the second month, I know it's going to be for $195.83. Okay? So then, right, we are still on our general journal, page 1. Okay? And we are debiting our account by $2,154.17. Okay? Because I already have a current debit balance already from my previous transaction that I purchased rent in advance for 3 months, I now need to add another advance payment to my prepaid account. So in this case, right, how do I figure out my account balance here? I know for a fact that, well, if I'm already on the right, if I'm on the left side, right, that means since I'm adding a debit to my account balance, therefore, right, I'm already on the left, so that means I'm going to increase my account even more to the left, right? And when I'm crediting, I'm going to credit 0 because I want to make sure I include that so the next time I have a credit balance that it will automatically calculate that for me. So in this case, right, well, how I'm going to do my formula is I'm going to take my previous account balance, I'm going to add my debits, and I'm going to subtract my credits in that same row. And that should give me, when I press enter, a total of $6,654.17 worth balance in my prepaid accounts. Okay? So that means this is my total amount that I have for my prepaid rent and my prepaid insurance. Okay? All right. So then let's see, last but not least, I wrote another check out. So therefore, I need to decrease my checking account to make sure that, let's see what happens, how much money I should have in my bank account, right? So in this case, we're going to identify that I wrote check number 1503 in my first journal, which is going to be in the total amount of another $2,350 credit. So therefore, since I have my formula intact, it should give me a total amount left of from 13,911 all the way down to 11,561. Okay? So as you can see, every time I have a credit, it's decreasing my checking account, which is true, right? If you think about it in real life terms, I spent money, so therefore I should have less money in my bank account. Okay? So now I only have $11,561.29 left in my checking account. Okay? Okay. Okay. So now that I finished my journal and I post it to my ledger, last thing I have to do now is, well, I dealt with an insurance policy, right? I dealt with an insurance company. You should 100% record that this transaction has gone through, because oftentimes insurance companies, sometimes that's going to be one of the biggest issues that a lot of people have issues with, right? Of a company policy, of them not making the payments go through, or things like, oh, my company policy, why am I getting charged for so much money, right? Usually, typically, that's why you always want to keep your contract number, your policy number, just so that you can be able to, dispute those extra charges and extra things and like that, okay? And including if they decide to not forward your payment through and claim that you didn't pay for the company policy, well, you have proof, right? And then everything that's in the policy contract number should list of all the services that you agreed to. So in this case, that is definitely something that you want to keep on hand, is the contract policy number for your insurance plans, right? Always, always. So let's see, for instance, let's go ahead and locate Sargent Insurance. So I'm on my subsidiary ledger now under vendors, and I'm going to be locating Sargent. OQPOPQRS. So keep going. Okay. I think this is it. Sargent Insurance. Here they are. Today is the 5th. What did you buy? 12-month liability insurance. So you could put, I'm going to put purchased. 12 months liability insurance. Okay. Which costs you $195.83 per month. Okay. And let's see. You also have proof that you made a payment with check number 1503. Okay. So in this case, my invoice number is going to be whatever my policy number is. So my policy number, let's go ahead and find that out. Policy number 884513. Okay. My post reference is that I have it on my general journal page 1. There are no terms or a discount due date or an actual due date, right? Because in this case, you've already made an advance payment, right? But for any reason that your company is going to be sending you a bill, right, to give you your account information or to give you your account balance to ensure that you made a payment for this month, or to ensure that this month has been paid, oftentimes a company will send you monthly statements to ensure that you did make a payment for this month, right? So oftentimes, yes, you will have that, but that shouldn't include a due date, okay? Okay, so you have to remember, right? Whatever you've paid for a whole 12 months, a whole year worth of insurance. There shouldn't be a reason why they should give you a bill with a due date on it. So in this case, I can choose to ignore those amounts there. I have not spoken to this insurance company ahead of time. So therefore, there is no prepaid amount here. Okay? Because when I went to them, that's when they gave me the insurance plans, right? That I can do a monthly insurance plan or I can do a yearly insurance plan. In this case, I've never spoken to them prior to that. So there is no prepaid amounts. There's no down payment I had to make ahead before I got the service, right? So that is what this column is for. I don't need that. So therefore, what was my invoice amount? My insurance company policy said that insurance plan was $2,350. Okay? And of course, we made a payment with check number 1503. So therefore, I made a payment for $2,350. Okay? So once again, let's go ahead and do that formula. Now, as far as this, if you were to do this ahead of time, you are able to go ahead and put that formula in for all of the tables here, okay? For every single last column here, you are more than welcome to already input all the formulas ahead of time so you don't have to do it as you go. But in this case, it's quick for me to go ahead and do it as I go, but if this is something that you want to practice on your own time, you're more than welcome to fill out your worksheets accordingly so then you don't have to fill it out as you go, right? So in this case, once again, let's practice that formula. We got the invoice amount minus any prepaid, minus any returns, minus any discounts, minus any payments. So right now, I owe Sergeant Insurance nothing, okay? Now that's on my books. On their books, I made an advance payment. So that means they are going to owe me services. Okay? But we don't care about what their books are. We care about what our books are. We made a payment to Sergeant Insurance and that's all we care about. Okay? So in this case, that's what we need to focus on is whose books are you working on? Ours or theirs? In this case, we are always going to focus on our books. Okay? We made our promise. We've already made the payment for this, and this is the proof of transaction. Okay? So right now, we owe Sergeant Insurance nothing. Okay? Okay, so now that we posted from the journal, we updated our ledger, we updated our subledger. So then now we can go ahead and move on to the next transaction. Okay? All right. So it says here it is finally Thursday, June 6th here, and we applied for a business credit card through National Bank. Right? So is this a transaction that we need to record? Yes or no?
No.
No, because all we did was simply apply. We don't know if we got approved. We don't know how much we got approved. And we don't know what the terms are if and when we do get approved, right? What's the interest that they're going to be charging? What is the payment plan that we're going to be looking at, right? We do not have any of that information. So in this case, this is a simple application, okay? So we don't know if we got approved or not, okay? Okay. So then, that very same day, Maine Bank of Nevada has approved your line of credit for $10,000. Now remember, when we opened up our bank account, we applied for a line of credit. Okay? All right, so Maine Bank of Nevada approves of a line of credit of $10,000, right, to be applied on overdraft protection and personal loans, okay, to be taken into in $1,000 increments, okay? Terms are that interest rates of borrowing this money or tapping into this money is going to be a 22% APR to be applied on unpaid balances, okay? And the amount that's compounded on the daily. So in this case, we're looking at this information right here. Now, is this something that we need to record in our books?
Yeah.
Would that be in the sub account
What do you mean by sub-account?
for the line of credit? Maybe I'm not understanding it right. Because you have checking, and wouldn't it be your new Visa card?
Well, this is, okay, so this is Maine Bank of Nevada.
But there is no there's no account for that yet, is there? There's not like petty cash. We don't have any account for that, so it wouldn't be an asset. It would be under liabilities, wouldn't it?
Why would it be a liability?
Because we have to pay. That would still be like accounts payable, right?
Well, in this case, what are the conditions that we have to meet in order for us to have the ability to use this money? What did we apply this line of credit for?
To purchase things for the company, so it would be a business expense.
Okay, no. This is for the bank.
Oh, so it's still cash slash. It's still under the cashing. It's still under banking, right?
Okay, so
I'm just trying to get it in my head. My head's just a little cluttered right now.
that's okay. That's why we're here to explain. Okay, so I opened up a bank account under Maine Bank of Nevada. What does a bank do for you?
A bank lets you use the money that you have in it.
Correct.
It exchanges it from one person to another.
That is my money, correct?
Yes, that's your money.
All right. So what is this line of credit that I got approved for?
Not your money.
It's not my money. However,
it's considered your money.
It's considered my money, but what is the consequence? What has to happen for me to tap into this money?
You have to spend it and then pay it back.
You have to spend it and pay it back. Now, how do I spend this money?
By using the card.
Well, you didn't get a card.
You purchase things. You just
No. This is not a credit card.
Oh, okay. It's just a line of credit.
It's a line of credit, meaning it's an available lump sum, correct? What is the condition that must be met for me to use this money? What did I get this line of credit for?
To be applied as overdraft protection and personal loans.
Correct. So, that means if I overdraft my bank, the bank will go ahead and give me a line of credit of $10,000 to pay in case I go under in my bank account. So that's one condition. The second condition is if I need to take out extra money for a personal loan in increments of $1,000, that's condition number 2. Now, do I need to take a loan out right now?
No.
No. Have I overdrafted my bank right now?
No.
No. So therefore, this is just basically emergency money. There's a condition that must be met.
Okay.
So, have I borrowed this money?
No.
Okay.
So no journal entry.
No journal entry necessary because you haven't met any of the conditions. You didn't need to take extra money out because you have $10,000 left in your checking account. You don't need, you didn't overdraft because you still have $10,000 left in your bank account. So in this case, this is a program that banks offer to help you protect your bank, for instances, for many businesses who are trying to make money and doing their, writing checks left and right. This is an emergency stash for that purpose of if they write a check out, right? It will go through because you have that line of credit to begin with. However, I haven't used it yet. So therefore, I have the amount available, but the condition hasn't been met yet. So therefore, I never spent the money yet. So therefore, this line of credit does not exist until I tap into it, right?
Mhm.
So therefore, no transaction necessary. However, this is definitely pertinent information that I should put somewhere. And what do we call that? It is a gap principle.
Gap principle. Okay.
I don't know. Would you put it on your ledger or subsidiary ledger?
Yes, you would definitely do that because I don't have a note to the financial statements, because I'm not going to require you to do a full-on business report for Coffee Cafe, okay? But, however, that is one of the principles, right? You need to have a place to put pertinent information about a transaction. This 100% is a pertinent information, because if in case you do go over and overdraft your bank, you know what your circumstances are. Your terms are you're going to get charged 22% over unpaid balances, and you're going to get accrued based on the daily. Meaning every day that you are over the bank, you're going to get accrued that 22% interest. Now, of course, that 22% interest is an annual percentage, of course. So, of course, it's going to be subjective, right? It's going to be based on how much money that you owe in the bank or how much money you intend to take from the bank, okay? So in this case, this is definitely something that you need to put in the notes to the financial statement. So then that is adequate disclosure, which is one of the basic principles, okay? So now that we've already discussed that you will not be needing a financial report or notes to the financial statements, your only option here is you should put this in your subsidiary ledger under Maine Bank of Nevada, because this affects your bank in case you do get overdrafted, okay? So here, I'm going to go to my subsidiary ledger until I find my Maine Bank of Nevada. So here is National Bank, NV Utilities, Maine Bank of Nevada here. Now, it's up to you. If you want to put the dates, you can. In this case, I'm just filling out the notes section here. So then if and when I do receive my bank statement, I know what those extra service charges are for those reasons, right? So that's why you want to list it out there in your notes if and when you do receive your bank statement and you do get charged money from your checking account, right? So in this case, I'm going to put the date in here just because I just want to know that I got approved on the 6th of June here, right? And I'm going to go ahead and put approved line of credit for $10,000 on overdraft protection fee and personal loans, okay? And then, of course, you can put your interest of 22% interest, okay? And that should be good enough information. Oh, I should put 22% APR, so I know that's an annual percentage, okay? Interest, okay? Now, again, no transaction has happened, but that's just a note So then if and when you do receive your bank statement and you have this extra charge for some reason, your bank statement should disclose that you got charged because you overdrafted your bank or you took a personal loan, okay? So in this case, it should give you that information of why you got charged the interest you got charged. Okay? All right? So that is that transaction there. All right. So let's see what is next. Okay? Next transaction we have here is going to be our very first purchase order, number 17301 to Furniture Store, and we're going to buy a desk set for our computer. Unit price is $562 even. So in this case, what do I need to do with this information here? Is this something I need to journal? Yes or no?
Yes.
Why?
It turns into one of your assets.
Well, here's the condition. Did I pay for it?
Yes.
Did I pay for it?
It says, oh no, you just ordered it, so not yet.
Correct. We just submitted a simple purchase order. So in this case, this doesn't affect my my journal whatsoever because all I did was simply request to purchase a desk. Now, of course, in the what do you call it? Catalog, it just shows me that it's $562, right? So that's what I'm quoted for. However, they still have to ship it to me. They still have to, there's other things that are happening to here right here. We just simply requested to order it. Now, in this case, it's a desk set. So we're going to assume that they're going to ship it to us and we're going to be receiving a bill. But right now, they haven't fulfilled their order yet. All we did was simply request that we wanted a desk set from Furniture Store. Okay? Maybe it's one of those big, bulky wooden desks that has to be transported from truck to truck. Okay? That is probably what we bought. So in this case, that's exactly what we have to do is we're simply just requesting to order it. We didn't receive the item yet, nor did we receive a bill, or nor did we pay for it. So in this case, we are not going to journalize it. However, it is ideal, right? Because since you are a business, you should be keeping track of everything that you order because you don't ever want to make the mistake of ordering too many things at once and not keeping a good track record of it because then what if one day you're at the store and all of a sudden a whole bunch of shipments comes in? How do you know? How do you know what you ordered? Exactly. So that's why you need to put this in your purchase orders. So in this case, we need to keep track of everything that we order just so then we can have an idea, okay, this is what I ordered. We should be expecting this and when should we expect it, right? So in this case, today is the 6th of June, right? It's Thursday, right? Purchase order number 17301. Okay, who did we request to purchase from?
From a Furniture Store.
We decided to, so we are requesting from Furniture Store. Okay, now what was the item that I purchased or ordered?
Desk set.
We ordered a desk set. Oops. Desk set. How many?
Just one.
For a total of $562. So therefore, right, you just do your quick multiplication. So that means your total purchase order amount was for $562. Okay. So then, as we go through these purchase orders, right, we are responsible to keep track of when that item has arrived to ensure that, yes, we purchased this, right? Our vendor didn't mistakenly give us something else. And second of all, we also are going to stamp the proof of that transaction by the bill that it's accompanied with. So So that's what our responsibility is. That if we're going to make an order of an item, we need to open up the box, ensure that they're all there, and ensure this is the correct purchase order, and put in the date that we received the item, and also put in the actual bill that is accompanied with it. So in this case, that is our job here. Okay. Good. So we filled out our very first purchase order. Okay, straightforward. Okay. All right, so let's see what's next. Oh, we got another purchase order. So maybe we submitted the first purchase order just to realize, oh, wait, we should have ordered more. So in this case, we made a second purchase order to furniture store, and we decided to say, oh, we need to buy another a counter to, be able to serve our coffees on, and we also need a display shelves to be able to sell our coffee mugs on top of, right? To display them. So in this case, right, we decided to do one order of a counter and 5 display shelves, which each display shelf is going to cost you $102 each. So your grand total amount that's going to be costing is $1,543. So, once again, this is a second purchase order.
033.
Okay. So this is my second purchase order that I requested on the 6th, right? For purchase order number 17302. Who did we purchase this from or order from? In this case, again,
Furniture store.
Furniture store once again. What did we buy?
A counter and display shelves.
Okay.
Well, you didn't buy anything, you ordered it.
Yeah. Okay. So in this case, how many counters did we order?
1.
And how many display shelves did we order?
5.
Okay. So what are my unit prices? So for my counter, $1,033. And of course, my display shelves are $102 per. So once again, quantity times unit price, you got $1,033. 5 times $102. Whoops. 5 times $102 should give you $510. So here your total is going to be the $1,543 even. So again, this is just to ensure that the tag price and everything matches up. Okay, that your purchase order matches up. Okay, for $1543. Okay. Okay. So let's see what's next. Here it says you have an electricity is connected. Okay, $100 deposit is required, payable to NV Utilities. Okay, NV Utilities, invoice number 502. So your electricity is turned on. A requirement of a deposit, right, to keep the electricity on, okay? So oftentimes, a lot of rental locations are going to require a deposit to ensure that when you purchase that location, is there a reason why we need to keep the electricity on, okay? So in this case, they require a $100 deposit, so just so then they can turn on the electricity, and because you're going to be running your operations there. So in this case, what do I need to do if I'm going to be putting a deposit for NV Utilities for electricity? What do I need to do?
You need to journalize it, but you also need to record it under your utilities expense.
Now, am I paying for a bill?
No, you're paying for the deposit.
Correct. So in this case, it's not an expense because I'm not paying towards a bill,
Oh.
right? Because oftentimes you'll get this, you're most likely going to get the deposit back.
Mm.
So what am I buying or paying?
You're paying for a deposit, but let me see. Where's that at? Where's the deposits at?
Oh, it's deposits.
Deposits, 18,700. Yes, you're just making a deposit just to ensure that the electricity can be turned on, right? Because, like I said, oftentimes rental locations they're going to require that just to ensure that are they turning on electricity, just like when they require for water, right? They're not going to turn on the water and let it run for a building that isn't being used. They're going to shut it off until someone is actually occupying that space. So that's why they're requiring a deposit to ensure that you are occupying that space. So that's what this deposit's for. But again, once you actually start using the electricity, that's when they start looking at, again, your whatever the rates are, how much usage you used, and so on and so forth, and they'll bill you for how much you used for that month later on. Usually you pay that in the following month. Okay? So in this case, I am making a deposit. Okay? How did I pay for this deposit?
Check.
Did you say cash?
Check.
We're writing a check because we don't have cash available on our hands, do we? We don't have that ability, right? So in this case, we're just going to write them a check to NV Utilities. All right? So today is the 6th. We made a deposit. So again, this money is ours. Okay? And we wrote our check. So therefore, it's going to come out of our checking account. For a total of $100. Okay? So, what needs to happen before we finish our description? We're going to cut the check. Okay? So in this case, what check number are we going to be using?
1504.
1504 for $100. To whom?
NV Utilities.
NV Utilities for
$100.
yes, for electricity
Yeah.
deposit. Okay. For electricity deposit. Okay. So here we go. We wrote check number 1504. So let's go ahead and plug that into my journal. So once again, I have NV Utilities. Right? Invoice number. What's my proof of a transaction here? Right? Invoice.
Yeah.
For the deposit or down payment, whatever you want to refer this as. And it second one is going to be what was it for? So in this case, I'm going to put electricity, right? Because in this case, is it mentioned in my journal? It just says I have a deposit, so I'm going to make a extra
Deposit and check.
electricity deposit, okay? Which I wrote check number 1504 for, okay, for $100. So now I have the journal done. So now I'm going to go ahead and plug it into my ledger. So in this case, because it's pretty obvious that you only have 2 here, I'm going to go ahead and let you go ahead and do that backwards in this case because it's only one account that I'm looking at here, or two accounts, right? If that makes sense. So in this case, since I'm already in my checking account, 1504, I can already just put this in here for the $100. Okay. So that will decrease your checking account from $11,561 to $11,461. Okay. Okay. And then, of course, I'm going to go all the way down to my deposits, which should be towards the end of your assets list because it's an intangible asset. Can you touch an electricity deposit? No. So it's an intangible asset. So it's going to be at the very bottom of your list. Okay, here you go. Deposits. Okay. It is up to you if you want to put in that you wrote your check number here. In this case, I'm just going to write NV Utilities since it came from them. Electricity deposit. And we're still on our first journal. We're at the very, very, very bottom of our journal here. And since I'm debiting my deposits, right, I'm increasing the value of my deposits. So therefore, I should go from 1,500 to 1,600. Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm actually going to pause here and we'll finish up the rest when we come back here. Okay. So yeah, we're going to take a break real quick. So here we're still at the very bottom of page 1. Okay. And we're going to, oh wait, hold on. I got to finish one more thing. I forgot. Sorry. So we did our journal. We did our ledger, right? We got one more thing to do before we go on break. Sorry. Okay. We need to update that we made a payment to NV Utilities, right? Because ultimately we have the electricity turned on. For any reason, right? Your electricity, your lights, and your switches do not turn on. You need to call NV Utilities to say, hey, I made a deposit to you already. Here's the check number that have proof that I paid, right? So in this case, this is also another way to give you insurance here to make sure that NV Utilities did do their job to turn on the electricity. So in this case, electricity deposit, which was check number 1504. Okay. Invoice
502.
502, thank you. Journal. We're still on our first journal here. Now in this case, this is a rental deposit. I'm sorry, a electricity deposit, right? So in this case, we made a payment, so there are no terms because this isn't going towards our bill. We have to remember, this is a deposit to ensure that we are in operations and occupying that space. This is no means to put this towards your bill, okay? That is one thing that you have to know here is that this is just so then you're occupying the space. You're ensuring that the electricity is actually being circulated for a business that's being used or a facility that's being used, right? It has nothing to do with going towards your bill. So therefore, it's not going to be a prepaid amount because it's not going to go towards your bill, okay? However, because you are written an invoice to be required for in order for electricity to turn on, you need to pay this deposit. So in this case, your bill that you received or your invoice was for that $100. And your proof that you made a payment was your check 1504. So once again, your formula is going to be invoice amount minus prepaid minus returns minus discounts minus payments. So right now, you owe NV Utilities nothing, okay? And again, they're going to be sending you a separate bill apart from this deposit here. Okay, because one thing that we have to remember is the bill is going to be based on how much we use, right? So in this case, we won't be receiving or being billed anytime soon because we need to be able to measure how much we use for the month of June. So in this case, that's what you have to do, all right? So like I mentioned, we're going to stop here and take a quick 15-minute break, okay? So now that I posted from my journal to my ledger